Good afternoon, Dr. Jal. Welcome to Tatak UPLB. Greet you po muna ang ating mga viewers.
Hello, kumusta? Magandang hapon sa lahat.
So let's start our interview. We're excited to know a lot about you. We're curious because you have taken chemical engineering dito sa UP Los Baños. Meron po bang nag-influence sa inyo na kunin ang course na ito?
I would say not definitely the chemical engineering part, but my primary school teacher, Ma'am Arcos, she's my favorite teacher. She's my maths teacher. So primary school, I've been honed to really love maths because of her. And then when I went to high school, one of my professors in chemistry, a really brilliant professor, Sir Persido, taught physical chemistry or industrial chemistry rather. And so I love chemistry, I love maths, and I've been thinking like which course would give me that in-depth higher maths and at the same time higher chemistry with basic applications to communities. And I thought, yeah, why not do chemical engineering?
So it's a combination of the subjects that you love, math and chem.
Yes, and say practical applications as well. Like I was from Bicol, and during that time, Malampaya is basically one of the mining industries in Bicol, and they have a horrible reputation during that time. And I thought there should be a better way, a safer way, an environmental friendly way of mining.
So that also influenced your decision.
Yes.
But may I know, ma'am, why did you choose UPLB when you're from Bicol? I'm also from Bicol. It's quite far from us.
I both applied to UP Diliman and UP Los Baños, but UP Diliman, I have asthma. It's not a good place for me. So we went to visit there and it was very much polluted. So I had my asthma attack there and I thought this is not a good place for me. So UPLB is a better campus, more student friendly, environmental wise, it's more, I would say, refreshing to be there, and good community, really student community. So.
Are there any places here in the university that you really miss?
And places, I would say not really places, but rather the people at biotech. Yeah, the biotech people from the environmental lab. So I miss the company with Sir Ray, Dr. Naive, people who works there. It's a really the lab itself is a family.
Okay. When did you last saw them or visited here in the campus?
Oh, I visited them last year.
Okay.
So I was in UP Los Baños since August. And every time I'm in UP Los Baños, I visit my professors.
Wow, that's nice. I think they're also excited to see you during that time when you came. Do you have any subjects that's your least favorite, or are there anything like that? Or do you have your favorite subject lang, wala talagang least favorite?
I would say I didn't prefer subjects or courses that have you have to memorize. For me, that's one of the this is just me personally. That's one of the most boring things that you could do with your brain, to memorize stuff without fully understanding it. My favorite subject is physical chemistry, and that's where my favorite professors in UP come in, which is Professor Emeritus Ernesto Del Rosario. So Sir EJ is my biggest inspiration in physical chemistry. So I love that subject.
After you graduated here in the university, do you have any clear career path, vision for your career path?
Yeah, I have a clear vision to go to a niche that could best help the country. I wanted to gather as much trainings, education in the best institutions in the world so I could better help my countrymen. The Philippines, not just in terms of academic research, but rather in more practical sense as well. So that's the path that I took, and then it just branched out there what sort of niche or field or discipline I would have to get my training or education from.
So has anyone influenced you with that kind of thinking, or is it just coming from you?
There will always be people influencing what we think, Sir EJ, who has been my inspiration. got his physical chemistry degree from Cornell. And he actually was the one who pushed me to apply to universities abroad, to IB schools and Russell universities abroad. And he would encourage me and to think, way ahead of time and way advanced to think of what future disciplines I could merge and in which area I could maximize my intellectual prowess and my interests. So he's one of the great influencers in my academic trajectory.
So, ma'am, you have a lot of achievements. Like you have a lot of degrees that you also have taken. You have taken medical degree, and you also took a PhD in different universities, known universities out abroad, like Harvard. You also took courses from Oxford and Cambridge. How is that, ma'am? Is it hard to finish those courses, or did you enjoy them?
It will always be hard, but the process should be enjoyable. So doctoral degrees, it takes several years of your life. So you have to really love science or the things that you do to dedicate, let's say, half a decade of your life. So in the US, it takes at least 6 years to get a doctorate. So in the UK, it takes 4 years if you're in the hard sciences on the average. So that's a huge amount of time, like half a decade of your life. So you really have to enjoy it, and you really have to dedicate that half decade of your life to science.
So I can really see that you really love learning because you did not stop with just your bachelor degree, but you took MS and then medical and then PhD. So you really love to learn. Was there any advantage that you graduate here in our university?
I would say chemical engineering is a jack of all trades. So, chemical engineering has advanced maths, it has sufficient chemistry, it has sufficient physics, and it has just enough biology. So it makes you more flexible to actually branch out to different disciplines than any other courses. And that's my take personally. Because if you take, let's say, physics, you wouldn't have enough biology or chemistry to do, let's say, biological physics immediately. But with chemical engineering, you have a little bit of everything. And you could easily be more flexible and adaptable to cross disciplines.
We can say that our university is at par with the universities outside the Philippines.
I would say a lot of universities in the Philippines could be at par. It depends on how hard you work. It's not just the university, but really the hard work. I would say a lot of state universities in the Philippines have brilliant students who are hardworking as well, and also a bit of luck. If you have the resources, if you have the mentors who would push you to do far greater things outside of the Philippines, for example, to gain more expertise outside of the country, then you're quite blessed to have that mentorship. So resources and hard work.
So it's a great advantage to have those kind of mentors around you.
Yeah, definitely.
The setup of the class is different because it's online. What can you say to our students? Do you have any encouragement to tell them?
Well, they have to work harder, especially in courses that involves laboratory. It's more than just reading it. You have to actually do it to understand it. And so they have to work harder in terms of imagining how it's done. I just couldn't. It's definitely a struggle to transition to a practical application once they graduated if they haven't even been in a lab. It's imagining how to titrate is different from actually titrating. So they really have to work harder in terms of making sure that they have enough trainings before they graduate, and whatever means possible that accessible to them. So
So it's a bit challenging because they don't have those kind of resources now because they're not really in the university.
And they're prone to being lazy too. You could attend class, you could be half asleep and then just turn on your Zoom and be there. So they're prone to to cheating as well. That's another challenge. So they really have to have that sufficient self-discipline, and they have to motivate themselves to really work harder.
So that's inspiring for us, ma'am, and also encouraging at the same time. I hope they're not pressured, those students who are listening right now. And
Yeah, and my students
yeah.
work harder.
So do you also have things you want to say to our fellow alumni who is also finding it hard to find their career path or still looking for their career path?
I would say look around you. Look at the people closest to you, your communities. Look at the country. What do we need? Because chemical engineering, as I said, is a highly adaptable, highly flexible discipline. It could cross any other sciences, medical sciences, biological sciences, or pure sciences if they wanted to. So look what are needed in the country. Look at the disciplines that could best support the Philippines, especially now when we're dealing with a lot of things, a lot of issues. So, as a product of UP, we need to do something for our country. Filipino taxes are, for the current scholars, are the ones that are actually supporting your education. And these Filipino taxes come from not just from the wealthy people, but from the poorest of the poor. Even those who don't eat thrice a day is actually helping with your tuition fee, subsidizing your education. So the least you can do is to at least have that gratitude, utang na loob, to serve the country and do something about it. Use your intellect, your education to actually help other people. That's the goal. So if we need more doctors, chemical engineers could be medical doctors. If we need more environmental friendly chemical processes, then go to that processes. Be a process engineer. Be an environmental engineer. So those kinds of things. Just have the vision to support the people around you, support the community, because the moment you help the community will rise together, and that will improve your quality of life.
Wow, that's very nice, ma'am. And I think they are also encouraged to have that kind of heart, because that's the heart of Anisco, to give back to the university,
Yes.
to give back to the country.
Yes, definitely. We always should think of that. The poorest of the poorest contributing to your education. The least you can do is to study hard, graduate on time, so you're not wasting another year in the university using Filipino taxes. Graduate on time, graduate excellently, and then find a job that could better your community. That's the kind of gratitude that you